Chapter 5. Route Optimization. The next morning, I woke up and decided I needed a route. That sounded professional. Responsible, even. A man with no future wandered around hoping life improved. A man with a route had logistics. I sat at my kitchen table with coffee, toast, and a notebook from the Tier 0 shop. The notebook cost 3 GP. The pen cost 1. The toast cost basically nothing. My entire breakfast setup had cost less than the emotional value of one coworker saying thanks for a breath mint. The world was broken. Or maybe it had always been broken, and I was only now properly monetizing it. I wrote at the top of the page, farming route. Day 1, then I stared at it for a while. That looked evil. I crossed it out. Community support route better. Still suspicious. I crossed that out too. Morning walk perfect. Innocent. Legally soft. My plan was simple. Before work, I would walk a loop around my apartment building, the corner convenience store, the bus stop, and the small plaza near Madison Street. I would look for needs. Then I would solve them. Not big needs. Big needs were complicated. Big needs had paperwork, trauma, consequences, and people crying for reasons that required follow-up. Small needs were clean. Umbrellas, tissues, coffee, bags, chargers, directions, bandages, snacks, door holding, compliments, if necessary. I stocked my backpack carefully. 2 umbrellas. For bottled waters. 6 granola bars. 2 phone chargers. Tissues. Bandages. Pain reliever. Breath mints. A small sewing kit. 3 reusable shopping bags. 1 chocolate bar for personal morale. The chocolate bar was not for farming. Probably. At 7:10 a.m., I stepped into the hallway with the calm confidence of a man about to make being nice weird. Mrs. Eleanor Price from 4B was standing by the elevator with 2 trash bags at her feet. Mrs. Price was in her 70s, white-haired, small, and always dressed like she expected company from a nicer decade. I had seen her around for years. We had nodded at each other hundreds of times without ever upgrading to conversation. Today, I saw the trash bags. Then I saw her hand resting against the wall. Then I saw profit. I mean, opportunity. "Morning, Mrs. Price," I said. She looked surprised. "Good morning, Claude. You need help with those?" "Oh no, dear. I can manage." She absolutely could not manage. Or maybe she could, slowly and painfully, which was even better. For helping. Better for helping. I'm heading down anyway. Before she could refuse properly, I picked up both bags. Her face softened. "That's very kind of you." Chime. Positive feeling detected. Goodwill acquired. 900 points. 900. For trash. I held the bags tighter. Trash was viable. "I don't mind," I said. We rode the elevator together. Mrs. Price glanced at me twice. "Did you get a haircut?" she asked. "No." "Oh, you look different." That was concerning. "Good different." "I think so," she said. A little more awake. Chime. Goodwill acquired. 300 points. Even being perceived as awake had revenue. Incredible. I carried her trash to the bin outside. She followed slowly, holding her purse with both hands. "You know," she said, "my late husband always helped with little things like this." Danger. Emotional depth detected. I could have escaped. I should have escaped. Instead, because I was greedy and stupid and apparently incapable of ignoring glowing numbers, I said, "What was his name?" Mrs. Price smiled. "Walter." Chime. Goodwill acquired. 600 points. Oh no. Names paid. She told me Walter Price had been a mail carrier for 31 years. He used to bring home Ms. Delivered magazines and complain about dogs with personal grudges. He liked black coffee, crossword puzzles, and old detective movies. I nodded. I listened. I made appropriate face shapes. At first, I listened for points. Then, annoyingly, I listened because Mrs. Price's voice changed when she talked about him. It became younger around the edges. By the time she finished, my route was already behind schedule. I had earned 2,700 GP, and Mrs. Price looked happier. That second part sat uncomfortably beside the first. "Thank you for letting me talk," she said. Chime. Goodwill acquired. 1,200 points. I nearly saluted. "Anytime," I said. A dangerous promise. Her smile deepened. I escaped before she could cash it in. Outside, the city was waking up in layers. Delivery trucks coughed at the curb. Office workers moved with dead-eyed purpose. A man in a black hoodie argued with a parking meter. Somewhere nearby, Someone dropped a coffee and said a word that would have gotten me fired in a church. The field was rich. At the corner, a woman struggled with a stroller and the convenience store door. I opened the door. Thanks, she said, relieved. Goodwill acquired. 600 points. Inside, a man in line patted his pockets and muttered, "Come on, come on." I leaned slightly. Missing something? My wallet. He looked horrified. I just need coffee. I almost bought him one from the store with real money. Then I remembered I was not an animal. I opened the system shop, bought a canned coffee for 2 GP, slipped it from my bag like I had packed it earlier, and held it out. Here, take this. He stared. Seriously? Yeah, I've got extra. People really accepted "I've got extra" as an explanation for almost anything. The man took it with the reverence of someone receiving medicine in wartime. Man, thank you. You saved my morning. Chime. Goodwill acquired. 1,500 points. Save morning. Excellent phrase. I wrote that down mentally. Outside, I gave a granola bar to a teenager who had forgotten breakfast. Goodwill acquired. 900 points. I gave directions to a tourist couple looking for the subway entrance. Goodwill acquired. 1,200 points. I gave tissues to a woman crying quietly near the plaza fountain. Goodwill acquired. 1,800 points. That one made me feel strange. Not bad enough to stop, but strange. She did not tell me why she was crying. I did not ask. I just gave her tissues and bottled water, then walked away before her life became my problem. That sounded awful. It was also true. By 8:05, my balance had climbed past 60,000, and I was late for work. Again, I hurried toward the bus stop, backpack lighter, ego heavier. Halfway there, I saw Andrew Miller, the intern from work, standing on the sidewalk with his tie crooked and panic in his eyes. "Claude," he said. I stopped. "Andrew." I spilled coffee on my shirt. He turned slightly. There was a brown stain across his white button-down. It was bad. Not career-ending bad, but definitely new intern remembered for wrong reasons bad. I looked at the stain, then at Andrew's desperate face, then at the shop. Clothing category. White button-down shirt, 25 GP. 25. I could buy 40 shirts with one good thank you from Mrs. Price. "Come with me," I said. "What?" "Allie." Now. Andrew's eyes widened. "What?" "Not like that. Just trust me." That did not improve his expression. We ducked into the narrow side alley between the convenience store and a dry cleaner. I opened my backpack, bought the shirt, and pulled it out. Andrew stared. "You just carry spare shirts?" "Yes." "Why?" "Preparedness." He looked at me with the same expression Marcus usually wore. "That word is starting to feel religious. Change your shirt." He did. Awkwardly. Very awkwardly. A woman passing the alley glanced in, saw Andrew buttoning a shirt while I stood guard with intense seriousness, and immediately walked faster. "Great," I muttered. "Now I'm a weird Alley Taylor." Andrew tucked in the new shirt and looked down at himself. "It fits." "Good." "No, like really fits." That was odd. Tier 0 items were ordinary, but apparently ordinary did not mean badly sized. Andrew's face filled with such relief that the chime arrived before he even spoke. Positive feeling detected. Goodwill acquired. 2,400 points. "Claude," he said, almost emotionally, "you saved me." Chime. Goodwill acquired. 1,500 points. Saved again. The word had layers. I patted his shoulder. "You're fine. Go be punctual for both of us." He nodded and ran toward the office. I watched him go. Then I looked at the dry cleaner sign beside me. Alterations. Same-day service. A thought occurred. Emergency clothing. Office workers needed emergency clothing. Coffee spills. Torn seams. Bad weather. Surprise meetings. Dates after work. Interviews. Presentations. I could become the man who had things. Not just random things. The right things, at the right time, in the right emotional moment. My farming route had just evolved. At work, Marcus saw me arrive 9 minutes late and immediately pointed. "No." "What?" "No, whatever this is." "I haven't said anything." "You walked in smiling." "That means trouble." I sat down. My desk already had 2 people waiting near it. Lisa Morgan needed pain reliever. Jason Reed needed mints. Mary Collins asked if I had safety pins again. I served them one by one. Chime. Goodwill acquired. 900 points. Chime. Goodwill acquired. 600 points. Chime. Goodwill acquired. 1,200 points. Marcus watched in silence. Then he said, "You've become a vending machine with eye contact." Thank you. That wasn't a compliment. It felt like one. At 10:30, Patty Reynolds passed my desk, paused, and saw the small line forming. She closed her eyes. Claude. Yes, Patty. Why is there a queue? Community trust. Marcus laughed so hard he had to turn away. Chime. Goodwill acquired. 300 points. Patty pointed at the people near my desk. All of you have jobs. They scattered. Then she pointed at me. You. Conference room. Now. My stomach dropped. Not because I feared punishment. Because conference rooms rarely produced gratitude. They produced action items. I followed her in. She closed the door. Patty folded her arms. Explain. I'm trying to be helpful. You said that yesterday. And I remain committed. You are late. Your desk looks like emergency services lost funding, and people are asking me whether they need to submit requests to you for supplies. That's flattering. No, Claude. That's weird. I looked down. She sighed. Her voice softened slightly. Look, I don't know what got into you. Maybe the breakup scared you. Maybe you're trying to improve. Maybe you watched a video about habits and misunderstood it violently. That was unfairly close to a version of reality. But you need balance, she said. Helping people is good. Making yourself the center of every small crisis is not. The words hit harder than I wanted. Making yourself the center. Was I doing that? Obviously. But hearing someone else notice was irritating. I'm not trying to be the center, I said. Patty raised an eyebrow. I revised. I'm not only trying to be the center. Claude. I know. She studied me. You were always reliable when reminded, she said. This is different. Different can be good. But sudden different makes people wonder what's wrong. Chime. Positive feeling detected. Goodwill acquired. 600 points. Even concern paid now. I wanted to laugh. I did not. That felt like growth. Small, miserable growth. I'll tone it down, I said. Good. I left the conference room and immediately wrote in my notebook. Do not create queues at desk. Under it, I added, possible solution, mobile route only. Then, also maybe appointment system. Then I crossed that out because even I could hear Patty yelling in the future. At lunch, I checked my achievements. Achievement progress. Local Good Samaritan 2. Help 500 people in a single day. Progress. 39,539. Before noon. For a number that had seemed absurd yesterday, 39 felt less like impossibility and more like inefficient routing. I tapped the notebook with my pen. The office was too small. The neighborhood was better. But the real prize would be crowds. Events. Stations. Hospitals. Airports. Schools. Lines. Anywhere people gathered with needs. Anywhere discomfort concentrated. I needed scale. The thought made my skin prickle. Not fear. Excitement. Stupid, greedy, bright excitement. Marcus leaned over the cubicle wall. What are you writing? Nothing. He squinted. Does that say discomfort concentration? I closed the notebook. No. Claude. I'm developing socially. You're developing into a municipal service. I stood and grabbed my lunch. Want anything from outside? Marcus stared at me suspiciously. What's the catch? No catch. Then why did my instincts scream? Because you're cynical. And alive. On the way out, Sophia waved from reception. Claude, Mrs. Price from your building called. I froze. My neighbor. She said she didn't have your number, but remembered where you worked from the tote bag logo. She wanted to say thank you again for this morning. Chime. Positive feeling detected. Goodwill acquired. 900 points. Remote gratitude. My eyes widened. Sophia continued, smiling. She also said you remind her of her husband. Chime. Goodwill acquired. 1,200 points. Oh, that one landed differently. Not because of the points. Well, partly because of the points. But also because Mrs. Price had meant it. Sophia tilted her head. That was really sweet of you. Chime. Goodwill acquired. 600 points. I stood there in the lobby, suddenly uncomfortable. The system kept rewarding me. People kept meaning what they felt. Those two facts were beginning to tangle in ways I did not enjoy. Yeah, I said. She's nice. Sophia smiled. I escaped outside. The city was bright now, rain-washed from yesterday, full of pedestrians and traffic and ordinary human inconvenience. My phone buzzed. For half a second, I hoped it was Megan. It was not. It was Marcus. If you start wearing a cape, I'm reporting you to HR. I smiled despite myself. Then I looked across the street. A delivery cyclist had spilled a crate of bottled drinks near the curb. Cars honked. The cyclist looked overwhelmed. Pedestrians walked around him. My hand tightened around my backpack strap. There it was. A small crisis. Public. Visible. Easy to solve. Emotionally productive. I should have been thinking about Patty's warning. Balance. Center of every small crisis. Sudden different. Instead, I was already crossing the street. Because sincere growth was slow. But helping someone right now? That paid immediately. I crouched beside the cyclist and picked up the first bottle. Rough day? I asked. He looked at me with desperate gratitude. You have no idea. Chime. Positive feeling detected. Goodwill acquired. 1,500 points. I smiled. Then let's fix it. And somewhere deep inside me, the farmer sharpened his tools.